Hey everyone, and thank you so much for clicking on this video. My name is Justin, and this is Leafs in 7, where every Monday we come out with a video talking about the last 7 days in Leafs hockey and any news that might come up. This past week, the Leafs played 3 games, those being against Washington, Buffalo, and Vancouver. And normally at the end of these videos, I make a prediction for how the Leafs will do in the upcoming week in their games. And last week I didn't do that, but I definitely would have given the prediction that they would beat Buffalo and Vancouver, 2 of the lesser teams in the NHL, let's be real here. And of the 3 games, of course, as the Leafs do, they beat Washington, the best team of the bunch, and managed to lose the home games against Buffalo and Vancouver. The first games back at full capacity, I might add. You would think that would give a little bit of a boost. It's been discussed that the Leafs have been missing the fans and are looking forward to the big building filled with people. Saturday's game against Vancouver was Wayne Simmonds 1000. This was lined up to be easy wins. And with Boston right on the rear of the Toronto Maple Leafs, they fall short. This is absolutely the Leafs in a nutshell. The Leafs always tend to play up to the best competition and really fail to play their best hockey against some of the worst teams in the league. And over the last couple of weeks, it's really become a theme because they're losing games that should be gimme games. And they're in a really, really tight division with, like I said, Boston is right behind them. I think they're only 2 points back now. I know they have a game in hand, but the division's really tight, and the Toronto Maple Leafs need to get some of that urgency. And that's been a topic of conversation over the last few years. Whenever the Leafs are in a must-win situation, when the urgency is at its highest, they fall short. And we've seen that in the playoffs, obviously. Game 6s, when they've had a 3-2 series lead. Game 7s, failed to win in all of those. And now, in games where they should absolutely be winning, again, Buffalo, Vancouver, those are teams you need to be able to take advantage of. Not to mention the week before when they played Detroit, Montreal, and Columbus. This was a stretch of 2 weeks that they could have taken a big stretch, a big jump in the playoff situation, and they fell short. Now, the topic of conversation right now at its highest, it's been like this for the last few weeks, is the goaltending. We have 2 goaltenders, Jack Campbell and Peter Mrazek, who are both struggling right now. But I am firm on the idea that these are both capable goaltenders that are on a bad stretch of play. They're in a slump, and they will rebound. And I know a lot of people are really hammering home that Kyle Dubas needs to make a trade because the trade deadline is just right around the corner. But, I mean, let's remember that this is just, again, a bad stretch. The beginning of the season, these 2 goalies played absolutely incredibly. And I don't think anybody would have believed you if you were to say that Jack Campbell would be playing at a below 900 save percentage over the course of probably 3 months now at the beginning of the season because he was playing that well. And we can't go from such a high, Jack Campbell, we're not going to be able to afford him to an extension. He's going to be getting $6 million, $5 million a year. He's going to be in the Vezina conversation to this guy can't stay on the Leafs. He needs to be traded. The guy can't stop a beach ball. We're somewhere in the middle. Not either of those are right. It's somewhere in the middle, which means he's bound to regress, or progress, I should say, back to a standard where he can keep us in games. And I know the last few weeks it's really shown that Jack Campbell's struggled more than Peter Mrazek has. But also, look at the goals. They're fluky. They're bounces. They're squeaking through. They're deflections. In my opinion, they're set to bounce back. And if they're not, at the end of the day, the Toronto Maple Leafs need to win in the first round this season, regardless of all circumstances on the table. And if they don't win in the first series, and if that's due to, in part, the goaltending situation, well, the goalie situation, they're pretty flexible for next year. If Jack Campbell can't get it done, they don't have to re-sign him for next season. If they lose in the first round, they're tearing up the core. They're going to change the identity, the fabric of this team. They can't not. This is a must-win year, at least one playoff round. You need to show some sort of progress. Is it worth going out and spending the assets for a first goaltender that probably isn't even available on the trade market? Like, who's a starter goalie available on the trade market better than the likes of Mrazek and Campbell? I know you could argue Marc-Andre Fleury. I don't think they're going to get him. Maybe a couple others, like Bobrovsky might be available if Spencer Knight can really take a step. but that's a $10 million contract. You're not in a situation to be able to do it. And if you are, you're probably spending assets to get these goalies out. It's not a recipe for success. I say you bank on these two goalies to really play better, and you hope that they do. In some positive note, the last game against Vancouver, Nick Robertson was able to slot into the top six. It made absolutely no sense that he was playing only about 5 minutes a night on the fourth line. What was he going to do there? He's a scorer. He knows how to shoot the puck. You can't put him on a fourth line grind, neutral zone play line. It didn't make sense at all. So they put him on the second line with Tavares and Nylander. And what do you know? Tavares gets a goal. Robertson gets a goal. Technically his first NHL goal. That's a great way to reward the coach for putting him on that second line. But that does bring up a conversation. Alex Kerfoot, he played on the fourth line. Is he an expendable player now? I still think Ilya Mikheyev is the guy you look at moving out on the left wing. But that really brings up some conversations that need to be had internally leading up to the trade deadline. What are we going to do with the left side of the forward group? Is Nick Robertson capable of playing in a top 6 or a top 9 role? I think he is, but they need to make that decision sooner than later. And speaking of making decisions, Kyle Dubas did say that they are telling teams that Jake Muzzin is expected to return before the end of the season and that they're not going to be using all of their salary cap relief that they currently have from him being on LTIR. Now, how much of that is the truth? We don't know. He could be just lying through his teeth because he knows that he's going to keep Jake Muzzin out, or he could be true to his word and honestly be trying to get Jake Muzzin back before the end of the season. Either way, it looks like the defense is the area that Kyle Dubas wants to focus on, and if it's only one move, it's not going to be a major move because it'll only be a few $1 million player. So we're looking at more of a depth player, but again, that's another area that Kyle Dubas and team really needs to work out where they stand leading into the trade deadline coming up on the 21st. Looking forward to the next week of Leafs hockey. This is going to be a busy one. There are 4 games: Columbus, Seattle, Arizona, Buffalo. I'm telling you, if the Leafs don't come out of this week with 3 wins out of 4, I don't know what to tell you. I'm still positive on the team. I'm still positive that they can make noise in the playoffs, but this is a week that you absolutely need to take advantage of. You've got a fun outdoor game against Buffalo that just embarrassed you 5-1 last week. You need to come out hot in front of your own fans, even though if it's a Buffalo Sabres home game. It's in Hamilton. It's going to be Leafs fans. It's going to be a fun atmosphere. You need to win that one. And then Arizona, Seattle, Columbus, come on. Those are teams that are below 500. You need to take advantage. You're only a few points back of first in the division, but you still have Boston right behind you, and you could drop down into a wild card just like that. This is an important week. Again, I'm going to say 3 wins out of 4. Leafs, please do not disappoint. So there it is. There's Leafs in 7. Let me know what you think. Really close to 250 subscribers, only a few away. I would really, really, really appreciate it if we could get there in the week. So click like, click subscribe, tell friends if you like my content, and I'll see you in the next one.